Hello, it's I, Casper Clemenson. Welcome to episode 1 of Dungeon of Doom. Okay, last time I made 4 characters and I went through some of the rules. But tonight, tonight I've made tiny manuscript so that I won't ramble too long about non-related or go on. It's all related, but I won't venture off too far from the thing. And the thing is that we're going to have some actual play of a dungeon crawl. But before that, I have some disclaimers. So I made significant changes to a lot of the rules, and when it's not like I just typed in last time some random words and made a game like randomly, but I knew that, for instance, for when players made what would be called in other RPGs, maybe saving throws, or in my game it's called tests. And I knew that I wanted something with achieving doubles, because I wanted that if I had a double, it would be a strong success, and if I just had one of something, it would be like a weak success, and if you hadn't got neither, it would be a failure. So that was the general idea. And I tried a lot of stuff out off screen. And I went with the Chris McDowell way here with strength, dex, and will. And I still want to keep that. And it's still with attribute pips. Yeah. And I kept the idea of shifting the dice, but you can in the last episode I said you could change the pip values up or down. I don't know if I said that, but I definitely wrote that in the rules. You can no longer do that. But let's just quickly jump to the test rolls when you're doing something that is difficult or risky. So test rolls. I think I'm just going to read it out loud, and then I'm going to make an example. Whenever you're doing something risky, you are faced by a test of attributes. Use the attribute sets that suits the test best. Your aim is to get 2 6s. A double 6 is a strong success. A strong success is a success with a boon. A single 6 is a weak success that comes with a cost. To pass a test, you may add your attribute pips to the dice, but the lowest die first. If doubles are rolled, you may add the pips to both the dice, meaning that if you, for instance, rolled 2 3s, you can add. If you had, for instance, like 3 in let's say strength, you could add 3 to both numbers. Okay, to both dice. Sorry, both die. Let's keep it in the frame here. So it's to both. I should maybe add that. Funny, I did add that to both dice. Okay, Yes. And before I make an example, let's look at the crit and fumble rules. Rolling double six before applying pips is a critical success, and you pass the test with a significant boon. Rolling 2 ones is a critical failure with a significant cost. And here I'm wondering whether I should, if you, for instance, is in combat and you roll double ones, that you should apply one of the 3 conditions here, which are hurt, tired, or stressed. But I'm still on the fence about that. I'm not too sure about that, because in this game you have quite low HP, and just by losing half a heart, which you can in my game, would be to a mage or a wizard. The weird would be a significant drop in hard points. On the other hand, you can, or you are, before you are dead in the game, running through these 3 conditions. Even so you're not. I mean, when you have your, for instance, if you have 2 hard points, I mean, you're not dead after losing the first 2 or the yeah, you know. So there are some loops you can take, so to say. Okay. I think test rolls was point 2 on my magnificent manuscript, but let's try and see if we can have a little example of something. Yeah. Let's say that I'm not going to run through an entire combat, but let's say the warrior is swinging his rusted sword against a foul goblin, and let's say the warrior has 2 in strength, 2 pip points in strength. He rolls a double 6. Okay. So here, this is a weak success, but you can see that if you have to add, you got a 6 here, so you can't add to the 6. But I rolled a 1, so I only got 2 in strength, so I can only raise it to a 3, and that would still be a weak success. So yeah, and I said last time also that my damage in the game is fixed, so we can quickly refer to the combat section and see here that a weak success, it's down here, is a half point of damage. But the opponent still gets to do a defense roll. But let's wait with that. It's sort of the same. It's just he adds his armor pips, armor value pips to the roll. Let's make another throw. Let's cast the dice again, because let's see if we can get something else here. So this again would be a miss. Okay, that's a crit. So that comes with a boon. Oh yes, also let's just now we add it. It's not applied to the text here yet. Or it is actually. Let's look at it. But I didn't apply it to the character sheets yet. But if you look down here, you can see that I wanted to give the bold and the nimble a way to shine more. I know that the bold can wear armor, and that's a huge buff. But I wanted to add something else to the game. So for the bolt. So on a melee crit, the bolt gets another attack. So if, as you saw right there, you get double 6, you get another attack, but you still have to roll. And the same goes for the nimble. On a crit, the nimble may shoot again. Yeah. And a last disclaimer is that, and this is important, that HP is no longer HP and attribute pips no longer rolled with a d4. I decreased it a bit so I can get some advancement in the game, but let's wait with a talk about advancement. Other than I'm going to sort of just copy the text from Wixig about advancement. You're still hunting relics, and it's completely the same. But instead of rolling with a d4 for HP and attribute pips, it's now a 1d3. So, and as you may have noticed, I called the game a Rygsæk hack. I'm almost unsure. I'm not unsure. I'm thinking about actually, instead of writing a Rygsæk hack, I'm for now I'm just going to write inspired instead. Inspired game. Because I felt that some of the rules I am going to like copy paste into here, so it would look like much like the Wixig game. But after fiddling with the attribute tests and the attributes, and so it's gotten quite far away from Wixig. So, but there's still a lot of similarities. Yeah. So, and they still use some of the same procedures as well. But I feel best in my stomach now that I've written a Wixig inspired game. So let's jump to the characters before we start. Start with the first one. I've added some minor things. After I recorded, I went through the characters to see if I had some misspelling, if I forgot something, etc. and etc. And yes, of course, I did miss something. I missed one thing before that. I lowered their stats 1 pip according to the new rules of 1d3. But the thing I added is that I added conditions. But let's wait with that. But you can see them here. And what else? Oh yeah, I added a torch bar underneath the character underneath the character sheet because I wanted to keep track of their torches. And since this game is really procedure heavy, there's a lot of it's really procedure heavy actually. I wanted to have something where I could keep track of that. And also, if you read down here in the inventory section, I wrote rations and relics. And rations, I applied some rations rules. It's You know that, like in Rygsek, you have in Dungeon of Doom also 6 watches in a game, 3 during day and 3 during night. And while going through an entire day in the dungeon, our protagonists need something to eat. So each ration has 3 meals. And yeah, so they're going to eat or remove a meal 3 times during daytime. There is another way you can deplete rations. It's through the Doom die, which is much like the Hazard die in Rygsek. If, for instance, if a ration turns bad. But you can also, let's say you were in a fight and you lost some hard points. You can actually do the following once per watch. If you make a small rest, you can eat 1 ration and get half a heart back. So that's another way to deplete a ration, because I wanted to have some more threats to the character sheet in the dungeon. And actually, you can also. Am I rambling now again? Let's check it out. I'm thinking there's another way to deplete rations. Yes, obviously you can't do that when you make camp. You have to, if you didn't do it during the day, you can deplete your rations at the camp, but when resting for the night. But you can also find rations during the dungeon crawl. But let's see if I have this up. No, that was only a Rygsek thing, because I removed the wilderness exploration as a die, because this game is mainly or only a dungeon delve game, dungeon crawling game. So yeah, that's it, I guess. I think that's about it. Let me just run through the character. Did I? Oh yeah, I might have added. Oh yeah, I went through the inventory and there were some small corrections I had to. I forgot bedrolls on several of the characters, and I added that. I just added equipment where I forgot and added it to the rules as well. But I did off screen as well. I think it was off screen that I wrote a little trinket or curio for each character. It's a really good thing, and a lot of soloists use that to put some sort of background story, or put a sort of a little something quirky to the characters, something that would spark an idea of adventure or use in the game. So I rolled a curio from Madeleine Hale's Arcane Artifacts and Curious Curios. And they're quite funny and fitting, actually. For Ritana Golden Dove, the Bold Ilf, I rolled the following curio. It's a screaming keychain with a small bust of a man who will scream if dropped. I'm not sure that was the correct wording. I just wrote my own words here. So it's a sort of like a bust of a man, and if you drop the keychain or the keychain, he will scream. So let's hope I'm not going to drop anything in a really bad situation. See, what did I tell you? Mistakes happen. around me. um, yes, I forgot to. I will edit this into the video. I forgot to show you the other characters' curios. Um, so let me just find it here. So Cat Sasha's Cat Shas. This is so. I'm so bad with that name. Katsasha Younghammer, the faithful dwarf, um, um, has the following curio: a goblin automaton. It's a small metal goblin thing that she can wind up, and the goblin will. Oh yeah, he needs another ration. And the goblin will make a lot of noise. And I think it's a good sort of a decoy or distraction thing. So I'm really looking forward to use that little distractor thing. The keychain, I guess, is the same. You can use that as a distraction. And I really love that. I mean, if you have a huge patrol of I don't know, like orcs, and you just throw the keychain behind them and ambush them. That sort of stuff is really, really great. Uh, and then there is Hiltrud Slowhand's curio. It's a skull of suggestions. It's a sort of miniature skull of a dragon-like creature. Uh, and I don't know if it was described as had some sort of just like a skull, but I think in my version of the or Hiltrud's Slowhand's skull, I think there's some fake bright green gems in the skull's eyes. But the thing is that this skull makes Hiltrud, uh, suggestions, bad suggestions, and I think that because that Hiltrud's willpower is not very high, she's sort of I forgot the word receptive to all of the skull's bad suggestions. So I think that how I'm going to play this is that when she fails something, fails a roll, or I don't know, or if it fits the context, that the skull will make some bad suggestions for Hiltrud. And I think it's also the skull is also behind her, thievery. It's why she steals and why she is so possessive, because we rolled that one of her traits is possessive. So I think the skull sort of had like with Smeagol's ring, it's the same, but sort of huge impact on her. So yeah. And lastly, we have something quite utilitarian here for Margot Sleepy Eyes, the weird gnome. She has this antidote fork, which is just a simple, small silver fork. And what this does is that when she eats poisoned food, she won't get poisoned. This fork. So it's sort of I think that this might have belonged to a monarch, or if you're sort of a tyrant who probably gets a lot of attacks on him from his kitchen staff poisoning his dinner and so forth. With this fork, you can avoid being poisoned if you eat with the fork. Oh yeah, I don't know if you have watched my episodes of Wixic. I have an advancement system where when you find if you bring relics back to safety, you get one adventure point a relic. It's sort of an advancement point where you can buy either one increase of your attributes or one increase of your heart. So you can in a crawl or adventure, the maximum number of relics you can find is 2 per character. Actually, when the group in the difference from Rygsæk and Dungeon of Doom is that I'm still considering the exact rules, but I think that it's a shared relic. So if they find a relic, they each share the adventure point or the reward for it. But I'm not certain about that yet. I should perhaps add. Now we're at it. The crit rule to the warrior and the nimble. However, their portraits will be smaller. May attack again on a if I delete May, I think. It's just a really small portrait. Anyways, so that's actually a trait of sorts, but waste any space writing that. And her portrait here can be it's so there's room here. So this is Hiltrud Slowhand, the Nimble Human. She's our thief character with the mediocre stats, but with a lot of HP. So she still has some survivability. May shoot again on a crit. I guess that's it. Yeah, I'm almost ready to play. One more disclaimer. I have tested the procedure and a play off camera. And as you will see, I will make a lot of mistakes, but I also kind of nailed it. So I'm also actually quite confident that this will work. But there will be some mistakes here and there. But luckily, you won't see me fail too much because the rules the worst bleeps should be out of the way of the rules now, or the worst mistakes of, sometimes when you make rules, they don't really work, although what you had in your idea you had in mind. But I tried this out and it should work. But again, this is also a video about RPG design. So this is still a game test. This is not a full game at all, but yet. But it's not very far from, because I wanted it to be a really sort of simple game. So it's almost done, and we are almost ready to dungeon delve into the darkness. Yeah, let's roll a dungeon.